The Suicide Squad is exclusively villains. This is villains, bad people, and Harriet Tubman.
Well, this is Teddy Roosevelt's definition of villains. With the lizard tunnels, they have the lizard men of Arizona, who delve deep underground tunnels. That's where the original Underground Railroad is from the Mayan Aztecs. That's
Oh,
that is a fun fact that you know the
that you
there
made up.
are that I made up, and so you can go subway surfing on those.
Is this like the Spider-Man movie with the lizard, but he looked like just a weird looking round-headed dude
Yeah,
and not a real lizard?
I guess I didn't really. I made that story where Harriet Tubman fights lizard men, and I didn't really have an image of them in mind, but I guess I didn't actually draw them. But it was funny. I just
Oh,
drew them at
right.
just drew the early 19th century Suicide Squad. No, early 20th century Suicide Squad. Just just villains from then. Oh yeah.
Jeez. Um, wait, so who would be on that Suicide Squad? The 1800s,
Oh yeah. I had it. Oh, it's like the 19 yeah, early 1900s. Like the
1900s.
time frame doesn't work exactly correctly, but also it's a just a nonsense dumb story. So it's the greatest villains. Well, Teddy Roosevelt, he he leads it. He's
I was gonna say Harry Truman, but
yeah, Teddy Roosevelt, he's president at the time, I think, and then he recruits Harriet Tubman for her psychic abilities, and then he also recruits Albert Fish, he's a serial killer from
Harry, I don't think Harriet Tubman was alive then, was she?
she was alive till 1913, 1914, something like
Okay.
that. I mean, she would like in my story, she's like 80. She's just an 80-year-old woman
Okay.
with psychic powers.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Then you have then you have Rasputin, and then
Okay.
Leopold II.
What?
I guess King Leopold II. Have you ever heard of the Belgian Congo?
No.
So, in the early 1900s, Leopold II he managed to like convince the rest of Europe that like he basically had the Belgian Congo as his like private business where they would just export rubber, and then but like if one of their but if you got caught like doing anything, I think stealing or something like that, they would cut off your hands. And
Oh,
so there was a
j
lot of
just that.
hand cutting off, and then there was like a eventually there was like a market for it, and just a lot of hands
What?
getting cut off. But
Like
Teddy
the
Roosevelt,
oh,
he recruited him for his knowledge in hands.
this sounds like an episode of Llamas and Hats from a decade ago.
I guess I think a recent one
I
just
just had an appetite for hands.
just had it. And then who else? It was them, and then oh yeah, H. Holmes. I
Wait,
had it's
the
another
author?
no. H. Holmes is like another serial killer. I don't know if he was actually a serial killer, but he was a
Oh,
killer. He had like a
it
murder
sounds like an
house.
author. Two H's and a Holmes with Triple H.
Yeah,
Instead of his villain name,
Holmes.
Triple H.
Yeah, he and Teddy Roosevelt recruits him for his ability to, you know,
They chop other people's hands off.
I guess
Or no, eat people
he had him look
or
out for
something.
booby traps. He's like, you made a murder house, therefore you'll know how to find traps within a place, is
Mm.
the reasoning. think is that it? I think that was all of them. One, two, three, four, five.
Well, that
Yeah.
that is fascinating.
But yeah. And then I think they actually had to bring H. Holmes back from the dead to do this because he was
Oh,
executed, I think in like 1896-ish or something like that.
okay. So then how did they do that?
They used the Coca-Cola revitalitis. They, he Teddy Roosevelt had one more dose of the Coca-Cola revitalization, the rejuvenation resurrection potion, and he used it on, you know, a murderer to go and take back the Underground Railroad
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's
in
something.
Panama from the
Okay,
lizard
so
men.
what are we actually talking about today? Stuff and things?
Stuff and things. I don't know. Did you want to? I don't know if you wanted to do your thing or if
I have not done a darn thing
oh yeah,
with
I can
mine.
totally tell
I've
you.
been so busy.
Oh, I can totally tell you a story then. We can totally do that one. I can tell
Okay.
you about the Harriet Tubman one because
Okay. Let's do
yeah.
that.
So we'll back to so I guess starting way back from the beginning, it would be I guess Harriet Tubman as a very little girl got she got hit in the head with I think it was like a large iron kettle or something like that. Like one of the slave owners was mad and he just hucked a giant metal thing and it like hit like a 1 year old Harriet Tubman in the head and it gave her like migraines and kind of dizzy spells throughout her life.
That is so sad.
It is. And then, but when she was about 80 years old, she got like a surgery to kind of like lift up her skull a little bit. I think that's how they described it. It was like they lifted up the skull a little bit to like relieve the pressure. But that also unlocked her psychic abilities. This this unlocked her latent psychic abilities, which she she was now she remarked, "My word, I should have done this a long time ago. But also, I reckon that if I had gotten the surgery earlier, the psychic pressure would not have built up within my skull. So, reckon now I could lift an entire plantation from its foundations. Right now, I'm so strong and powerful. I'm like Jean Grey right now. I don't even know who that is, but I'm like Jean Grey."
Gosh.
So, so yeah, Teddy Roosevelt, he heard he heard rumors of, you know, Harriet Tubman's abilities, and he was the president at the time. We're gonna say this is roughly just the early 1900, before 1910. We're just gonna say before 1910 because none of these
Oh,
dates
okay.
are gonna make sense. But
Didn't know.
so he's trying to yeah, Teddy's trying to get the or not Roosevelt. He's trying to get the Panama Canal up and running. He got it. He got he acquired it from the French. Like the French were trying to make the Panama Canal earlier, but they failed. But Teddy Roosevelt he knew he could do it though, and so what they so he helped the Panamanians get their independence from Colombia, and
Know
yeah,
where the
there
word
was
pandemonium comes from?
the
Paniomoniums.
pandemonium. Oh,
Sorry,
pandemonium.
go ahead, keep going.
Oh, side note, pandemonium comes from Paradise Lost, where it's the kingdom of, that's where Satan's kingdom is. It's like
Oh,
pandemonium. So it's like pan, like all demons. So it's the city of, it's like the city that Satan makes after he's kicked out of
okay.
paradise, out of heaven.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. All
Yeah,
right,
that's his
cool.
kingdom. Anyway, back to the story. He yeah, he got Panama its independence. They were so grateful. They decided to let Teddy build the canal, and but unfortunately, he also found out there was an underground railroad there, an underground railroad that ran under Panama and went under to Colombia directly there. But and Teddy, he wanted to seize the Underground Railroad for himself, but unfortunately had been taken over by the lizard men of Panama. The Panamanese lizard men, they
Okay.
who were actually from Pandemonium. They had ancestors from Pandemonium. Let's say that. They 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 came in, they took over the Underground Railroad, and Teddy was like, by golly, I need to get this railroad back. This will not do at all. Because the lizard men that just had the Underground Railroad and they would not, let anyone else use it.
Hmm. Okay.
There was also this also unfortunate part of the Underground Railroad of the it's an Aztecian Mayan underground like a artifact, which so unfortunately the way it's actually powered is by human hearts. They have to
Oh,
use human hearts to power this train that that goes, you know. So it's actually technically a bad.
Kalima. Kalima.
It's a bad fuel system because you have to grow like an entire person
Yeah,
to
yeah.
actually
It's a
get
terrible
one
way to do
heart.
things.
Yeah, but that's why they were doing so many sacrifices with the pyramids and stuff. They just needed more
Okay.
hearts to power their train. They had a hor
Oh,
they had a good
so the Underground Railroad is an actual train powered by hearts in
yeah
Panama.
that just went
Pneumodium.
yeah that just goes down through Central America to down to South America and travels underground
Okay.
like a direct
And this
line.
was hindering Teddy from building the canal.
Yeah, they were preventing it.
Okay.
They were scaring the workers. They were saying boo, and it's like they weren't able to.
Saying boo.
They said boo, and then they were like ah, and so they weren't able
Well,
to.
they're also lizard men, so
We
that
know,
would also be terrifying.
we know can build the canal, Mr. Teddy. He's too hard. And so Teddy's like, I gotta put me together some sort of squad, some sort of suicide squad to, get this Panama train back. And so he got a few others, but then he went to Harriet Tubman because she'd probably be the hardest to convince with that. So he went to her and he like, Harriet Tubman, I need your help. We need we I need your experience with underground railroads to, get to save to save the Panama Canal. And then Harriet Tubman's like, Teddy, the Underground Railroad was actually more of a euphemism. That was a metaphor for, a system of networks to move slaves from the south and to the north. It was not a physical railroad, Teddy. It was just kind of like a metaphor, like a stand-in for what that was. There was no actual railroad. And Teddy's like, but I also need your I know you were also a scout and a spy in the Civil War. I need your help with that.
By Jove.
By Jove. And also you have powerful telekinetic powers. I can see you lifting. You are hovering 3 feet above the ground as we speak. I think that is rather impressive and it could actually aid us in this mission. And she's like, well, you have a good point there, but why should I help you? What is in this for me? And Teddy's like, why I'll give I'll give women the right to vote. If you do this for me, I'll give women the right to vote and you'll
Timeline doesn't seem to be
you'll be
making
credited.
much sense.
No, it makes sense because no, Teddy was not gonna fulfill this promise. He had fully intended to not keep this promise at all whatsoever. Like he brought it up. He brought up like this fantasy, like a little carrot on the stick for Harriet Tubman because
Oh,
she was active in the women's suffrage movement and but he was not gonna honor it whatsoever. It was kind of a dick move on his part, but like his hands were tied.
obviously.
He couldn't he couldn't
His
like
hands were
just
tied. There's nothing he could do about it.
he
He's just the
couldn't
president.
he
Oh
couldn't just give women the right to vote. That's no,
my
he wasn't.
gosh.
He just wasn't. So, but this was a lie, but he said like I'll give women the right to vote. And she said, "Well, this will be even if I have to give my life for this, I I will do it for the cause. I fully believe in this cause and I think that I am willing to die for it." Teddy's like, "Yeah. Yeah, yeah, whatever." Anyway, so they got more so they all sailed they all got to gathered up in New York. They they got Albert Fish there. I don't know where he's from, but
The creator of fish,
yeah,
the filet-o-fish, actually.
yeah. Albert Fish was a serial killer who just never Google him. Just don't. It's
Okay,
that
well,
that's
what's his
he's
name?
Albert
Call him right now.
Fish.
Albert Fish.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh
keep going.
yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. He wanted to so he thought that Albert Fish had like every power of Aquaman. He just flat out assumed that. So he's like, "Your name is Fish, therefore you must have all these wonderful powers." And Albert
Oh,
Fish was
he killed people and ate them. That's that's Albert Fish.
yeah.
Yeah,
He,
yeah. Great.
he did he did more than that. But yeah,
He
uh
got the electric chair, so that's good.
that's good. Yeah, they recruited him. It's like my name is Albert. How may I be?
Sounds like he's got a bowler hat and he's twirling a mustache. That's what,
Well, he is a villain. You have Albert Fish, and then you have Rasputin, a powerful warlock with all the powers of Russian magic.
rah, rah,
Like
Rasputin. Da, 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 da.
decided to take a vacation from the czars to go help out Teddy Roosevelt. And then you had
Of
Leopold
course.
II, which you know this is probably before the Belgian Congo, so he's kind of innocent of all things. But he does have an interest in hands. Teddy has noticed that has an interest in hands, so Teddy thinks this might be useful to them. So they get on a boat and they
There's
start
hand guy.
sailing. Yeah, there's Leopold II. There we go.
Leopold.
Leopold II and
Man.
H. Holmes was the last one. Yeah, he was
H.
hung.
H. Holmes. Now I gotta look at that guy.
Yeah, you
He
gotta
was a
look.
hunk, is that what he said?
I think he was hung,
Oh, he was
but
hung. Not like well endowed, but he was actually hung.
oh yeah, no, he was
Oh, this
hanged.
guy is literally actually wearing a bowler hat
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
mustache.
yeah, yeah.
So that must be where the evil stuff comes from. Good
Probably
Lord.
it might be actually. No, that actually might be it because he was he
Uh,
was famously a. They may have exaggerated how bad he was, so I don't know exactly what
with
all he did. So he had a murder house. But yeah, Teddy Roosevelt, he brought him back to life. He decided like this guy, if there's any booby traps in these ancient subways caves, H. Holmes he'll be able to see them. He'll be able to suss them out. He'll make it he'll get through them. So they all got onto a boat and then they started selling off. And at first they were all kind of standoffish towards each other. They they weren't even like that friendly to they
well, okay.
they weren't that happy being with each other at the moment.
So the Suicide Squad is exclusively villains. This is villains, bad people, and Harriet Tubman.
Well, this is Teddy Roosevelt's definition of villains.
Oh, okay.
She
I
lost
see.
she lost a lot of property. That's like hundreds of thousands of dollars to a bunch of like probably a bunch of people down there. That's a lot of property that she stole. She
God.
stole property from like hardworking
Stop
people.
trying to justify.
I'm just saying why she's on the. This is from Teddy's point of view.
Okay.
I don't know actually if he's that bad, but this is also the early 1900s.
Yeah. All right, carry on.
But yeah, they start, they're kind of they're not really, having a great time with each other. The Rasputin is kind of he's not showering, and then people think he's kind of gross. So and they're well, only Albert Fish is into it, but you know they're
Oh,
you know
yeah.
they're but they're generally just kind of not getting along with each other. And Teddy Roosevelt, he's like, you know what? By the end of this, I bet we'll just all be good friends. This is all we're all just gonna get through a bunch of ventures and we'll all just be good buddies by the end. And none of them believed him. None of them even believed him that they would become friends towards the end of the journey.
Don't blame them.
So they, on the way down, they hit a hurricane, like a hurricane tried to batter them, and they were all very scared. But Harriet Tubman, she used her telekinesis to try to hold off the waves, and then Rasputin used the cold winds of Russia to, try to counteract and blow the hurricane
Okay.
the other way away from them.
He
And
summoned
he
Russian
he
winds
summoned the cold
in
winds of
the
Russia.
Gulf of Mexico.
They were all very chilly, but he
Okay.
summoned them, and they blew away. He blew away. He and Harry Tubman, they pushed away the hurricane. They pushed it away from them, and they were all safe. And they're like, "Wow, we worked together as a team, Rasputin, but I still don't trust you."
Did
And
they sing a
Rasputin,
Disney song about it?
and then
Gotta
Rasputin,
dig deeper.
I
Da, da,
don't
da, da, da.
trust you, woman of color. I am very set in old ways. Don't know.
I
I
do
am
not
the
know what this
Rasputin.
soap is you speak of.
I am Rasputin. I am the Rasputin. I stop at the first with my good
Uh,
wins.
the Rasputin from the song. Ra ra Rasputin.
I think that's what they're
Uh,
talking about, right?
yeah.
You're probably the same guy. But yeah, they stopped it, and so they made their way all the way down to Panama, and
This is
then
basically the Odyssey at this point.
yeah,
Suicide Squad mixed with the Odyssey.
good. I was like, they went down to the Panama port, and then they got some supplies in this little town, and then they gathered up some stuff, and then they got a little guide to show them where the entrance to the ancient subway tunnels were, and they made their way there. They trekked into the jungle for a couple days, and then they finally got to the ancient cave entrance where they saw, you know, they got to the cave entrance, but they went a little bit into the cave, and they were set upon by, about a 3 foot tall turnstile, an ancient turnstile. It was it was a it was an ancient Mesoamerican turnstile that, it did turn, but it only turned towards them. Like the turnstile kind of only went one way, but
Okay.
it was going
That's
towards them.
usually how they work.
Yeah, they was going towards. There was like this must have been an exit tunnel, so they
Oh, I
they
see.
they looked at this, and there. So Teddy got H. Holmes to get there, and it was like H. What do we do? How do we get past this? And H. Holmes, he looked at the turnstile, he gave it a good look, and then he said, "I think we can go over it. If we jump over it, we'll get past this turnstile, and we'll be able to, continue on our way." And then they did that. They they jumped over the turnstile. I mean,
Were they
Harriet
fined?
Harriet Tubman, she floated over it. She floated over the turnstile, but yeah, they were all fine. They were unsure of what it was. I think they had turnstiles back then. I have no idea. But
Obviously.
Obviously they did because this ancient one existed. But they continued into the cave and you know, they finally found the tracks, and then they found one of the train engines down there, and but unfortunately it was being guarded by three lizard men. Three lizard men. They
I
were
almost
guarding
forgot that they
it.
were part of the story.
Yeah, the lizard men were guarding the train engine, and you know, so they banded together. Rasputin and Harriet Tubman, used their powers to like freeze two of the lizards, and then H.H. Holmes, he started just kind of stabbing them, and then you know uh, what's his name? Oh yeah, Leopold, he cut off their hands. He cut off two of the lizard men's hands because
Are they hands or are they paws?
they were hands. They were oh yes, they're claws. Yeah, they're lizard claws. He cut off their claws, and then
So
and then
are these akin to the fishmen from One Piece?
kind
Like where they're mostly human?
yeah, they're mostly human. They're mostly
Right.
human, but they look like lizards, I guess. And then Teddy, he just shot them finally, and
Like in
then
a sexy way,
yeah,
like lizard people.
sexy lizard people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like scalies. It's like fursonas
I'm
with dragons and lizards.
only a small percentage of them are, but in their culture, they consider them ugly.
Oh,
But
okay.
to us, they look beautiful
hmm
and very attractive. But to them, they think that
hmm
these are like the disabled ones, the poor mangled ones. That's how they see it. It's kind of the
Oh,
opposite for them. But yeah, and then the third lizard man, he he tried to attack Albert Fish, but then Albert Fish, he caressed the lizard man's elbow, and then the lizard man, he shuddered, and he just kind of he booked it in the opposite direction. He sensed the darkness, the cold darkness inside of Albert Fish, and he was just scared of this monster. And they saw that he like got rid of a lizard man all by himself, and the other guys were like, wow, Albert Fish, you must be really strong. And then Albert Fish was like, yes, I am very strong.
yeah.
Don't ask me about my proclivities.
It sounds like a mix of the bad guy from the Cary Grant movie, the Halloween one.
Oh
It's like a
yeah,
mix of that guy and Peter
Peter
Griffin.
Lorre. Peter Lorre. He's don't ask me about my proclivities.
Arsenic and Old Lace. That's the movie.
Yes.
It's like that guy.
Yes. And then the other guys are like, yeah, we do not want to ask you about your proclivities. You keep bringing them up. We don't want to know. It's like, well, aren't you just a little bit curious what
You
my
gotta stop talking like that. It's so
you
freaking
gotta
creepy.
you gotta don't you a little curious about what my proclivities are?
Mhm.
And they're like, no, okay, we have an idea. We have an idea. We're ignoring you. Like we have to
Mhm.
actively ignore you. Like on that ship, let's just say we were on that ship for way too long. There there's it was a nightmare. Okay. But then so yeah, they take the train for themselves, and the train engine, and they're like, all right, we got this. And Teddy, he was looking around, he looks at them. There's a touch screen. He tries to figure out all the stuff, and he looks through all the buttons, but then they
Gosh.
see that, in the distance, coming down through the tunnels, they see in the distance 500 lizard men just
Wow.
rushing down towards them. So they start to panic, and Harriet Tubman, she decides to throw up a shield to, try to block them, and she like freezes them in
Mhm.
place. And so
Makes sense. No.
so try to help the others get away, and they're like, what do we do? Because Teddy's like, this needs human hearts to run. What do we do? And And then Albert Fish is like, well, I have this lizard heart, this lizard man heart
Gosh,
that I carved out.
of
I
course.
didn't know if you would need this later, but I had it for you. I have this lizard man heart.
I
And
thought they were
then,
going to take his heart.
I don't know, why would you kill Albert Fish?
I wonder
Anyway,
why.
anyway, they's like, well, that's a great idea, Albert. I'm glad you've thought of that. I'm glad you enthusiastically carved up that lizard man, because just in case we would need it for this exact situation here.
Just in
Good
case.
thinking. Good thinking, Albert. And then he, you know, he like yeah, so he Teddy he tries to load up the lizard man heart into the console. He plugs it in. He just puts it in the little
Mhm.
tube, but then it gives it an error message because
Oh,
it's a lizard man
of
heart.
course.
it's not a human heart. And so
No, of course. It
Rasputin he
knows.
gets out of the train car too to help Harriet Tubman. He uses the cold winds of winter to help to start to try to freeze the lizards, try to slow
Yep,
them
yep.
down, and that's kind of helping. But they're slowly moving, and they like so the rest of them back in the car. They they're kind of panicked. They don't know what to do. But so H. Holmes, he's like, "Well, guys, I think we all know it's got to be me. It's been a it's been a tough road. It's been a great time with you guys, but we know that I've lived past my prime. I've already died, and so I think it's only fair that I give my life to help us get through." And then Albert Fish starts
I,
kind of
s-
stabbing
I
him.
still
He
don't feel
just
bad for him.
And then Albert Fish starts stabbing him. It's like, make him stop talking. I want to get to the meat. I want to get to the
Ew.
meat
Ew.
faster. And
Ugh.
so, H. Holmes, he gives his life, and Teddy and Leopold are like, no, you can't. Don't do it. Don't give your life. It's not worth it. And then Albert Fish is stabbing him. They're like, no, stop, don't. Oh no. Well, oh no. Well, if he's
Oh,
already
stop, don't.
dead, if he's already dead, we might
Might
as
as
well
well
use
take it.
that heart. He's not using the heart anymore. If he's not using the heart anymore. So they take so Albert Fish he helpfully gets the heart back to them, and he loads it into the train console, and then Teddy yells to the Harriet and Rasputin to get back on, and she's like, get on. And then and they load the heart back in, and they and then they they rocket off. They start rocketing down the tracks for about 500 feet, and then they just kind of like slow to a stop because one heart only makes you go about 500 feet, so it's not actually a
Okay.
very efficient method of transportation. That's unfortunate for them, but so the lizard men they kind of break free from their thing and they start coming. So you know, Teddy, he's like, well, I guess I better use my trump card. And so he powers up into his bull moose form and he gets like a
What?
aura. He powers up into his aura, his bull moose form. He gets giant muscles, and then there's like a
Wait. So this is
giant
Teddy Roosevelt?
antlers start like they power up. They're like an auras of antlers behind him,
Does
and
he
then
turn into a giant moose, or
no, he
does he just
just
have the powers of a moose?
it's his bull moose form. It gives him super strength and super moose, all the powers of a moose,
All the
and
powers of a moose.
all
Okay.
the powers of a moose. And then he uses his well, I mean, then he smiles. He gives a Goldie Rider smile to the camera, and then he uses his conqueror's hockey to he makes them all pass out. He uses the Conqueror's hockey from One
The
Piece
Conqueror's
that,
hockey.
and it makes all the lizardmen just all pass out in one thing. And I mean, one is still kind of a little bit around, but he makes them all pass out, and they're like, "Wow, Teddy, that was amazing." And Teddy's like, "Bully," and then and then he
Well,
and then Teddy's like, you know what? I think this actually might be far enough for us to, blow up the train. And and then like Harriet's like, what? We're destroying the train. And he's like, well, yes, this is a connecting line from Central America to South America. We can't have a connecting line. We have to we're making a canal. We have to cut through that. And this will actually help a lot of the construction progress if we blow up this train in the and then we'll have lots more progress. And then they're they're like they look at this, important cultural artifact and they're like, okay, whatever. We don't really
As they
care.
did back then.
As they did back then. So, Teddy Roosevelt, he pressed the timer, he set the timer for the self-destruct and they started running out but I mean
I'm
Leopold
assuming that's
is
just an app on the tablet they used to move the train.
yeah, it's just an app. So
Okay,
they
yeah, of course.
oh yeah. And then Leopold's he's like, but what about the lizard men? They'll all die. And then Teddy's like, I don't care. And so they just keep running out. They start running out towards the exit, and then like right before they hear the explosion behind them, and but right before they get out, Albert Fish he trips and he twists his ankle. He hurts his
No.
he falls over and he's like, "No, I hurt my knee and my ankle real bad. It hurts so bad.
Why is
Ow,
he whispering?
leave me, leave me, save
Leave me.
yourselves, save yourselves." And then Harriet Tubman, she's like, "Not today, not today." And then she goes back and she
Like how she
she
got a deeper voice
she,
just then.
she I probably haven't been doing her voice consistently.
No.
She she goes back, she throws up a psychic shield for Albert Fish to, stop the wave of dust and explode the shock wave that's coming through there. And she blocks it for them and she's like, I've got you, Albert. I'll save you. And then after the dust clears, they kind of brush off and they're like, and then Albert's like, thank you, Harriet Tubman. You saved my life. And then
Yeah.
and then Harriet Tubman's like, in exchange for saving your life, never touch me again. Don't look at me. Don't touch me. Face that way and just walk out of here. I don't want to look. Just go, shoot. And then
Yeah.
and then the rest are like gathered outside of the like Teddy, Leopold, and Rasputin. They're like, oh, did they make it? I don't know if they made it out of the cave explosion. But then Albert and Harriet they come out and they they all hug each other and they're all relieved that they're all safe and sound and they're all alive and they're kind of sad about H. Holmes that he gave his life for them, but in the end they decided to you know celebrate in America. They were going to go back for one last party in America, so they sailed back to New York City in a couple months later. They had a party, and then during the party, like Harriet Tubman, she would be like uh, Teddy, we need to talk about the women's right to vote. You you promised about you promised that, and then Teddy, whenever she brought it up, he would change the subject. Like, yeah. Did you see that they were going to that the, there's going to be a first world war soon? Did you see news of that? I bully. By Jove, there's going to be a first world war. It's gonna spin out of control. I
Hey,
believe.
look, a distraction.
I believe. And then Harriet's like, well, I think like as a president, you should you know honor your promises. You should keep the promises that you make. And this wouldn't be that hard. It wouldn't be that difficult of legislation, and we could just do it real quick and get it over with. I have the paperwork right here in my purse, right here. If you want to, I think we can draw that up. And then Teddy's like, yeah. So did you see that? Oh, did you see that, Leopold? He has some, he's gotten some land in the Congo. He has an entire country to them. That sounds bananas, but it sounds rather amazing. Do you like rubber, Harriet? He's going to export rubber.
Oh,
Rubber is going to be very, it's going to be lucrative for him,
it's gonna
and
be the
mostly
best.
only him. And Harriet's she tries, but he's really good at it, and he just kind of just waits for entropy to kick in, because really she's like, she just needs to concentrate on what hard candy she needs to eat for today. Is she going to have a butterscotch or a peppermint? Those are the things she should be concerning herself with, not
Butterscotch or a peppermint.
not women voting. That's ridiculous. I don't know why they even did that in the Western state. I think actually Utah, Arizona, and Wyoming and Idaho, something like that in Colorado. I think they had voting for women, but it's like they
They
did,
were
but no
some of the
one
first,
else.
yeah.
Yeah, they were some of the first.
I think
Like,
Utah was the fourth.
yeah, probably four. Yeah, so they. She's like, if you want to vote so bad, just move out to the middle of nowhere. Move out west, where there's nothing in desert. Harriet Tubman is like, I'm 80. I'm 85. I'm going to die in 1913. So I technically don't know my age. That is technically true. I don't know. They think
I'm
I
old as tar.
I think I was born. And I know the point is, we're going to get the women to right to vote tonight. Harriet, look over there. Did you see your dementia
Going on
was
for so
flaring up?
long.
and then and then Rasputin, they force him to take a shower. He like he gets away with not showering the entire journey. Like, he says that, like, it's for, like, he doesn't shower when he's out, but they eventually get very tired of it. They have to just hold him down and shower him before they send him back to Russia. And
Course.
the czars did ask him. They did ask Teddy to wash him before they sent him back. That was a special request.
Got it.
So yeah, that's so that's this is all
What
leading
was
up
this?
to how so that's all leads up to how Harriet Tubman became a general.
Okay.
In 2020, well, no, I'm just kidding. In 2024, they made her a general. She's a brigadier general now.
Oh, I was
But I think I
okay.
named
Well, I don't know
originally I
that that
named the
matters.
story originally I named the story How Harriet Tubman Became a General. And then I told that entire story, and then I just ended it with, and then they just posthumously made her a general in 2024. That's
Sh-
there is
Sure,
with all that
but
little bit of
she's dead.
backstory.
So I don't
Yeah,
think that who cares?
she's a general now. More than 100 years
Ooh,
after she's dead.
jeez. All right.
She was a Civil War. She was a scout and a spy in the Civil War. I think that's maybe why they did it.
Yeah, but that was like 200 years ago. So
All of that
150
was
years ago.
facts. Everything I like mixing just
Everything
fact
you said was
with
fact.
more
Yes.
fact. Just more fact. So yeah, that's how that happened. That's how she became
All
a
right
general.
then. That certainly was a story.